Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Dante Powell Show. I'm your host, Dante Powell, comedian and overall goofball. So, this is the show. I used to do about 4 or 5 different podcasts. And then it felt like every few months I'd come up with like some random new idea where I was like, oh, I want to do this as a podcast. And so some of the podcasts I did were ones where like I would pretend to be a world famous conspiracy theorist Alex Jones with a friend. There was another one where I would just vocalize opinions that I thought people liked and disliked. There was an idea I had for a podcast where I wanted to just meet with friends and talk to them about their favorite sandwiches to eat. And then we would make the sandwich and talk about the sandwich and update each other on what had been going on in our lives. And for me, it just reached a point where it was like, okay, I could keep trying to come up with all these random ideas I have for all these different things and try to do 8 or 9 different podcasts over however long it's going to be. Or I could just start what I am now dubbing the Dante Powell Show, my very own podcast, where I can just incorporate all those things into the mix to some degree. So, my general idea for this is just a place for you guys to keep up with. It's really what it comes down to. I'm going to tell you about shows I'm doing. I'm going to talk to my friends about comedy. I'm going to talk to my friends about music. I'm going to talk to my friends about sports. I'm going to talk to my friends about food. I'm going to talk with myself about some of these things. I may have to do some of these with my children because one of them is actually up right now, even though she should be in bed. It's actually why I'm recording so late. And so I just wanted to come to you guys with this first episode and sort of give you a look at what's to come. Right now, we've got this thing in the back here, the Dante Powell Show logo. We've got the vacuum cleaner right there that you can see. It's still in the room with me. And I'm just recording at home in what is like technically just a makeshift studio, just as a means to get this out for you guys. Because it's been a very cool and fun week. And I thought some of the things that I wanted to talk about would be great to do as a first episode here. And so what I want to do for you, I want to take a quick break already. I know we're only 3 minutes into this thing, but I want to take a quick break and then I want to come back to you guys and I want to give you 5 very important things to know to set the tone for listening to the Dante Powell Show. All right. So I've got a fun list. We're going to get right back to it, but we're going to take a quick break and then we will come back and go over that list. All right, guys. So here at the Dante Powell Show, as of now, we don't have any sponsors. Okay. Making a podcast does cost some money. So I'm putting it out there. If you would like to be a sponsor of the Dante Powell Show, reach out to me. Let me know what you want to do. We'll make something work, and any support will be greatly appreciated. I'll do commercials. I will do advertisements that aren't commercials. I don't know what that would be, but we'll make it go. I just want you to know that coming on board and supporting me be greatly appreciated. And as a means of showing you how supportive I can be toward whatever your product is, I want to take a second during this first episode to tell you really quickly about a really cool product. It's actually my best friend's comedy album, Bernard Bell, Granny We Made It. Check it out if you haven't already. You're going to love it. All right, everybody. We are back. The Dante Powell Show. Thanks again for listening. I really appreciate it. We're going to get right into this, though. These are the 5 things you need to know going into listening to this podcast. I think it's going to give you some sense of direction and just kind of inform you a little bit about me. It's just a fun list I made that I thought would give you guys some insight into the way I think and the way the opinions and thoughts are going to fly on this. So let's just jump right into the list here. So, number 5 on the 5 things to know about me that will inform this podcast is that cats are better pets than dogs. It's very simple. As far as I'm concerned, people who like dogs as pets are just people who haven't quite had the gene that would have made them own slaves bred out of them all the way. Like people who like dogs too much, you just want to control something that'll be completely subservient to you. All right. People who like cats, you probably need therapy in a way that will teach you to love yourself and stop looking for it in places where it probably doesn't exist. Because every cat is just fickle in that way, okay? Now, I'm not saying that dog people are bad, cat people are good. I'm simply saying that in terms of superiority in pet ownership, cats have got it under control, okay? So if you take any offense to that, I completely understand it, but you're wrong. I'm right. It's the truth. Number 4, in baseball, since pitchers can pitch and throw baseballs at hitters because they break unwritten rules. Let's try that again, Dante. Enunciate. Since pitchers can throw baseballs at you for breaking unwritten rules, I think that batters should be allowed to charge the mound with their bats. Okay? So if someone hits a home run and they stare at it too long and your pitcher comes out and he plinks the guy, you know what? That guy should be able to take his bat, run out to the mound, and just start whacking on your pitcher. It's just how I feel. I think it will make baseball way more fun. I think if you guys can have these stupid unwritten rules, then I'm going to have some as well. Okay? You don't have to write yours down. I don't have to write mine down. That's where I am with it. If you're a batter and you're playing baseball, somebody throws at you and you don't like it, go out there with your bat. There we go. They can use a weapon, so can you. I kind of like the way we're off so far with the list. Number 3, gas station food everywhere is really good. Okay? So I grew up in Louisiana, from Louisiana, love Louisiana. I was a trucker for a few years, traveled all across this great country, driving a truck. Since I've started doing stand up, I've traveled to quite a few states. I think about 30 states doing stand up. The gas station food everywhere is good. Now, people like to talk about the South because, generally speaking, in the South, the gas stations are going to give you like this huge smorgasbord of really awesome food that is just quite incredible, if we're being honest. But currently living in the Midwest, like I do, I know that the food here is great as well at the gas stations. You've got Casey's, which is famous for pizza. It is really good pizza. You've got these quick trip and quick star locations. So the funny thing about those is that you've got quick trip with a Q and you've got quick trip with a K, and they're both really good. The quick trip with the Q has really good grilled cheese sandwiches. The quick trip with the K and quick star with the K, they have really good fried chicken and bakery items and just like a generally really good hot case that you can get some great food from. I know on the East Coast, when I would run out there, they had like these Wawas and things like that. You've got Buc-ee's that are popping up all over the South. Basically, like I said, the food in gas stations all across this country is great, and people like to act like they're too good to eat gas station food. This is a gas station food like safe place. We're gonna enjoy it. We're gonna talk about it. We're gonna have a great time with it. All right. Number 2, people who refuse to zipper merge are holding society back. All right. So if you're out here and you're one of those people who is just like, nope, I had to wait in line. I'm not going to let you in line. When you pull up to a merge point and someone zooms up from the right lane and tries to get in, they're not doing that to be selfish. They're doing it because everyone does it. Then what we have is a traditional zipper merge that moves traffic along much quicker than everyone just lining up for a mile and a half back. Okay? Like this has been proven scientifically. The research has been done. Zipper merging works when everyone is on the same page and they do it fairly. Speaking of merging, this is an add-on to number 2 here that I think is important. When you are merging into traffic on the interstate or a highway, it's your job as the merger to figure that out and get in there. Stop being mad at other people saying they didn't let you in. It's your job to either figure out, okay, I've got to speed up and get on by and get myself in here, or I need to slow it down and just take my time and find a spot when I can. It's not everyone else's job to let you in. It's your job to figure out the merge in a way that's going to go with the flow of traffic that's already there. All right. So that's our number 2 item. And then number 1, this is the most important thing to know if you're going to be listening to this podcast. It is sort of the like the general vibe I want to have around here because it's 100% what kind of got me to do this in the first place. I 100% believe that I could smoke crack and not become addicted to it. I just do. And this isn't a slight to anyone, who is struggling with addiction to crack. I don't mean this as, any negativity towards you. Has nothing to do with you at all. Has everything to do with me. Just who I believe I am, okay? So I don't want to make light of addiction in general. I want to do the opposite of make light. Like I want to make dark. I don't know how that will work actually, but I just want to make it clear that for me, I 100% feel like if you put me in a room with a crack rock and you pipe me down, I could smoke it and leave and just go on about my life. I 100% feel that way. It's illegal, so I'm not gonna try it because I don't want to go to prison trying to buy crack to prove to you guys that I won't get addicted to it. But it's how I feel. It's how I feel. It's 100% true. And for those of you out there who are like, nope, Dante, I tried crack. It would tear you down. You don't know my life. Okay? You just don't. I could smoke crack and not be addicted to it. So, yeah, those are the 5 things you need to know going into this podcast to kind of help you get your mind around what my mind is wrapped around. So we're going to take one more break. We're going to come back with my closing thoughts and something really fun, I guess, to close the show out with. We'll be right back. All right, everyone. Welcome back. We are down to our closing segment. Thanks again so much for listening to the inaugural episode of the Dante Powell Show. Hopefully, as we grow, this will all get better. The quality will improve. Things just in general are gonna, be adjusted and more fun. Like I said, I'm gonna incorporate different segments. I'm going to do my best to make this interactive for you guys. If you are like interested, I'd love it if you would subscribe in whichever way you take the podcast in, whether it's listening and audio only or video. I would appreciate any support. So let's just go ahead and get right into the closing segment. I want to talk to you guys about something very cool that's happening. So as of right now, we're recording on Friday, December 8th, 2023. And earlier this afternoon, the Union Parish High School football team, based out of Farmerville, Louisiana, won a state championship. The Farmers football team won a state championship, and I wanted to congratulate them. But I wanted to talk to you guys about winning and losing. Like I got a thing I want to kind of dig into a little bit here. And so like basically I just want to take a second to talk to you guys about something I've noticed becoming increasingly more common around sporting events that carry relatively high stakes. So for as long as I've followed sports, the idea of moral victories has long been understood as a thing like that losers take solace in to soothe the pain of actual losses. And so very few places make it as simple as sports do when it comes to competing and then taking score. And then that's how you determine your winners and losers, right? And so for winners, things are pretty straightforward. You can even just think of like our favorite quotes about winning. Uh, Things of the nature of like, to the victor goes the spoils, history's written by the victors, just win, baby. And just like our general disposition when it comes to winning in general, and then you juxtapose that against like what I thought, at least up until recently, was similar in terms of like how straightforward we were with the way we looked at losing. Like if you think about some of the quotes we have around that, it's different, but the point is the same. It's very like cut and dry. I think about quotes like there's one: when you win, say nothing. When you lose, say less. There's if at first you don't succeed, try again. And then I have a personal favorite that I really love that I think kind of sums up losing in a way that just gets right to the point. And that quote is, "Show me a good loser, and I'll show you a loser." And so last week, the Union Parish High School Farmers football team out of Farmerville, Louisiana, like I mentioned, defeated actually the Gina High School Giants of Gina, Louisiana. Yes, that Gina of the Gina 6 infamy. And they defeated them in their Louisiana High School State semifinal matchup 24-16. So this is last Friday. So by beating Gina, Farmers then headed to their fourth consecutive state championship game tonight, which I mentioned they won. And they actually had lost the previous three state championship games, right? So this is the fourth one they've been to, and they lost the previous three, won tonight. And normally a semifinal game, like the one they played last week against Gina, would only serve to like be a point of interest as a footnote to the story that is a championship season for the Farmers. But instead, it's become mired in the small town muck that skewed what it means to compete for wins and losses. So I want to take a moment now and actually disclose my personal biases here so we're all on the same page. I am an alumni of Bernice High School. I graduated from there in 2005. That high school is no longer open or in existence and was consolidated into the Union Parish High School in 2014. Now, that said, I take great pride in the winning tradition the school has cultivated and maintained since then. A winning tradition, I remind you, that has been stalled just short of the state championship over the past 3 years, each time coming up against an opponent that was able to do what they needed to do to walk away victorious. And that's just how it goes sometimes, unfortunately for me as it may be. So I want you to imagine my disdain, however, when the excitement for all things Union Parish football was overcoming me last week. And then I came across an editorial in the Gina Times by a gentleman named Craig Franklin titled "Gina was the clear winner." So I'm just going to read for you guys this entire article because it is something. And then we're going to talk about it a little bit. So let's go here and see what Craig had to say. The Gina Giants football team did not get the win against Union Parish last Friday night during the semifinal game. Or did they? When the final seconds ticked off the clock, the scoreboard clearly showed Union had more points, 24-16, but what the scoreboard couldn't register was the character of the two teams, their coaches, and their fans. In that capacity, Gina was the overwhelming winner. Let me begin by saying this is not an article to justify Gina's loss. As head coach Jay Rourke stated months ago, when you get to the playoffs, great teams play one another, and the winner often comes down to the team who makes the fewest mistakes. Even though I will always believe we were the better team on the field that night, we didn't play up to our standards and it cost us. This editorial should also not be reflective on all the fans and supporters of Union. I've ministered in churches in Union Parish for many years and know many people from that area. Even though many don't allow their children to attend UPHS, some do, and I know they don't approve of all the things that are going on there and probably had issues with some of the things from Friday night. I've heard from other news outlets during the past about Union's head coach. He is definitely one of the most controversial coaches in the state. A quick search on the internet of his name will tell you much. Football teams will take on the persona of their head coach, and with 17 years as their coach, their team certainly is taking on his personality. Make no mistake about it, he has proven to be able to win games and has created a winning tradition at UPHS. As I watched the game last Friday, my opinion is he has placed winning above all else. Having the privilege to be on the sideline, I got to hear and experience much that the fans in the stands don't hear or see. From the moment the Union players walked on the field for warm-ups, some of them began trash talking, directing their comments to anyone from Gina they saw, from adults to students to even small children. Not all the players, but many of them. Then you had the entrance of the Carroll High School band and cheer squads. Many of Gina's fans did not know that Union's head coach hired the Carroll band to come and play for Union during the Gina game. Not only that, but Union's principal didn't even know that coach had hired them until they showed up Friday night in Gina. If I were the principal, I would have been infuriated over the lack of respect for authority. While the Carroll band is wonderful to hear on any other occasion, they had definitely been told when to play their loudest, when Gina was on offense. I was actually standing on the Union sideline right in front of the band, taking photos during that first Gina series, and can testify that the band accomplished exactly what I believe the head coach envisioned. I could not hear someone right beside me talking, so I can imagine trying to hear a signal from the quarterback. The band drowned out the PA announcer and any music from the Gina band, or even the music played on the loudspeaker. They even played during the opening prayer. I'm thankful that most of Gina's fans could not see the vulgar dancing of the Carroll cheerleaders or Pep Squad members stationed in front of the band. I am telling you the truth when I say they were dancing in their tights with performances I can only imagine or performed during lap dances at strip clubs. I certainly don't believe any of the Christian Union fans I know would approve of such obscenities. Later that night, I saw on social media how some from Union and other places were commended the band for showing up and supporting the farmers and how it was a great testament to sportsmanship among the district foes. But it's hard to put this into this category, but it's hard to put this into the category of sportsmanship and support when they were paid to be there. When our star player Zarek Jones went down with an injury, neither the coaches, players, or supporters of the Union sideline took the customary knee, as is typically done by opposing teams when an injury occurs. Instead, the band played on, and the business of winning a football game took precedence. As the final seconds were ticking off the clock, the band was rocking a great beat to which Union's head coach danced away on his sideline. As the teams crossed the field to shake hands, the head coach continued dancing as he went down the line greeting Gina's players. Not all of Union's coaches fall into the same category as their head coach. I witnessed 3 take the time to embrace Gina players and comfort them during the pain of the loss. There was some genuine sportsmanship from some of Union's coaches, but by that time, their head coach had already demonstrated he cared more about winning than anything else. As many of Union's fans left the field, the unsportsmanlike activities continued, shouting vulgarities and obscenities to Gina's fans, including the F word multiple times to fans in front of small children, as the lack of moral character was evident for all who witnessed the events. Oh, I know, Union fans will only read this and think this is about Gina losing, but make no mistake about this editorial. Gina did not lose Friday night. The Giants may not be playing for a state championship, but I'll take character over a state championship any day. What head coach Jay Rourke and his staff is teaching these young men will have far greater reaches than any trophy that will one day fade away. They are teaching them how to play the game with dignity, with moral character, and the fact that winning a game is not necessarily the most important thing in high school football. They are training them to become valuable citizens in society. They are teaching them how to maintain a moral compass and how life will not always be kind to you, but living a life with integrity always produces positive results. They are teaching them the most important things in life that will one day provide dividends with better employees, better businessmen, better husbands and fathers, better friends, and better human beings altogether. With all of that helping to ensure our positive way of life in LaSalle Parish continues for future generations. Sorry. They are teaching them that love, humility, honor, and other valuable traits are what makes real winners, not just on the football field, but in the field of life. They are teaching them that character means more than winning, that having class triumphs final scores, and that integrity is the ultimate goal and is worthy of all its efforts. When everything is examined from last Friday night, the Jenna Giants, its fans and supporters are without a doubt the clear winners. Sorry, I read that entire thing. Normally, I would just give you the like cliff notes and then go on about my business, but I wanted to read all of that because I think it's important to get all of that out there. But it's so much to unpack here. And so what I want to do is offer a quick rebuttal if I can. First to Craig in his assertion that Jenna in any way was a clear winner. Your whiny and sore losery feelings were so hurt after watching a team you root for be bested that you felt compelled to not only write, but print a scathing attack on people you actually know very little about. So here's the thing. I could very easily take this time to reference back to my time in high school when our beloved Bernice Bears traveled to Alla, Louisiana of LaSalle Parish. We were playing LaSalle High, I believe, actually. And during halftime of that game, while we were up on Alla, a Confederate flag draped pickup truck drove by the section of the stadium they had us seated in for halftime. So they didn't even have us in like a dressing room. We were just sitting off on a side of the field there at the stadium. And this Confederate flag clad truck drove by, hurling racial slurs in our direction. All right. Now, what I could do is draw a correlation between them and the cowardly approach that Craig took to responding to coming up on the short end of the clash between Union and Jenna, but I won't do that, despite the fact that the parallels are metaphorically accurate and quite uncanny. I think the more appropriate approach here, however, is the more simple one, right? It's to tell you, people like you who pull this sort of stuff, that you cannot be more of a loser if you try, okay? That's what I want to drive home here. There is no solace in trying to assume the title as the more classy of the competitors. Okay? You are a minister who compared teenage girls to strippers. What a loser. Okay? You assume that the Union Parish High fans would take issue with what you wrote out, and it was like written out of this inability to look inward, when in reality, your sanctimonious diatribe was full of the same sort of excuse making and loser mentality deflection that does not create valuable and productive members of society out of young men, but rather those content with the idea that so long as they're willing to judge others, coming up short on goals is okay. I want to say this again specifically to Craig. You, my friend, are a loser in life in general. You are a loser. And when you celebrate what you're celebrating, you're just furthering that. Okay? Attacking these people the way you did was completely uncalled for. It was out of line. It was uncouth. And does Union Parish have some flaws in the way things go? Like, is the head coach? I know him as Spat. I've never even actually met the guy, but from everything I've heard about him, uh, he has his flaws, and that's how this goes. None of us are perfect, okay? But when it comes down to it, despite those flaws, when the people of Union Parish get in and they start digging into the mud of discussing him, he's always met with quite a contingent of support, and that means a lot. And so for you to go and attack him, for you to go and attack the supporters and the fans, I can promise you that if the fans of Union Parish were there and they were hurling F bombs at people, they weren't alone. Okay. I've been to Jenna. I've been to LaSalle Parish. I know that you can paint the picture of you guys as these Christian angels as best you'd like, but I know that you guys aren't any different from us in those ways. You say the F word, your fans say it, your fans say other words that they shouldn't say. Trust me, because I was called that at a game in LaSalle Parish. So for you to do this, it upset me in a way that it made me want to be petty. Okay. And it made me want to just get on here and, like I said, first of all, call you the loser that you are, drive home the fact that you're a loser, celebrate the fact that Union Parish won state tonight. Big ups to them again. Way to go, Farmers. I'm incredibly proud of you guys. But it also wanted me to call out the junk that you wrote, call you out as a writer for doing that. And then it made me want to rather just mention to you that, like, I had an opportunity to be incredibly petty here. Like, his website, franklinministry.net, he hasn't, the domain on that is up for grabs. I thought about buying it and just going and creating a website that said, way to go, Farmers, congratulations on your state title. But I didn't do it. I could have, and I didn't. I chose not to. Okay. And that is the sort of thing that, like, when you talk about people the way you talked about supporters of Union Parish High School, the way you talked about the not only the supporters of Union Parish High, but the way you brought Carroll High into it and made them out to be something uh, as negative as strippers or disrespectful to prayer, when from what I understand they just weren't aware that that was something that was even going to happen. Like, you're not someone who in this situation should be viewed as any sort of authority, not a moral authority, not anything at all that anyone should look to for anything other than a scathing review that just proved how small you are and how much of a loser you are. So, from the bottom of my heart, enjoy your loss. You did not win. You are not a winner by any stretch of the imagination. I hope you guys enjoyed this first episode of the Dante Powell Show. That's going to do it for me. Thank you so much for listening. Have a great day. I'll see you next time.